All right, guys, I got another interesting one for you right here. This is the nut grabber from the Jersey Tool Company. Pretty useful little guy here. You might wonder what this is. Pretty awesome. It's a made in the USA tool. And what does this thing do? Well, it's very simply designed where you just unscrew this. And as you unscrew this, it actually opens these jaws up here. It allows you to open these jaws up, and then you can tighten it back down. It's just a piece of sheet metal with a sort of the lever arm sort of spot welded to the jaw mechanism here. And that's pretty much it. But that's what makes it so great. I love simple designs that are effective. So what could you use this for? Well, if you're, say, an installer of like audio equipment, a mechanic, install dash cams, even a tradesman can use this right here. We'll demonstrate this here in a second. Also, I could have used this just a couple of months ago. Right here, my 87 Monte Carlo, I installed a new ignition switch, and I had to drop the column to get to the switch. And they're taking those little fasteners out to get it out, to take the ignition switch out. That was pretty easy. But getting those little guys back in there, trying to hold it in place with both of your hands down in just a limited space, was a little challenge. It took me probably 15 or 20 minutes to get it right without cross-threading anything. This right here would have made that job a whole lot easier. So as the name implies, it's called a nut grabber. So let's grab a nut, put that guy right here, and we could tighten him down. As you can see, he's not going anywhere. So just imagine if you were trying to, say, get behind somewhere like inside of a frame, for example, like sometimes you have nuts inside of frames or down behind a dashboard or something like that. You could put this in here and go ahead and put your fastener through this side, and you can get it started. And it'll make a job like that so much simpler, so much easier to do. And then it's still not going anywhere. Another use case for this thing, let's imagine if you wanted to, say, use a screwdriver here for whatever reason. You could put that screwdriver in here, and this thing will clamp down pretty tight on it and hold it in place. Like, for example, take a look at this, not going anywhere. And you might want to get, for whatever reason, who knows, there could be many different situations where you might want to do this, or get something in there and tap something. It may not have to be a screwdriver, could be a punch, could be anything. And also, if you would say, I don't know, out here in the trades, and here's some wire here, for example, you could screw that up here really tight, real quick. Well, not, you don't have to go crazy with it, but tight enough to hold it. And there's that. You could probably grab stuff, move stuff out of the way, and you could do all sorts of things. Don't forget, this thing is meant to go in their tight spots to get behind stuff and hold stuff into place. So how much useful jaw space does this have? That's a question I can hear somebody asking right now. So let me unscrew the end. I just unscrewed it to the very end here. I mean, there's a few more threads you can come off. We're just going to call that useful jaw space. We'll go ahead and measure this guy here. So it's about 15/16, so very close to, we'll just call it an inch. So if you got about an inch of useful jaw space there. All right, so one thing that I was thinking about as I was going through this was what type of modifications could you do, or what type of improvements could they have to this unit. So let me put this nut back in here, and I got a couple of good ones for you right here. So if you put this back in here, so just imagine if you wanted to spin this all the way through and go ahead and torque it down, but this backing plate here is stopping. What you could do, you could cut a little hole right here so that could go all the way through, but the only caveat would be that you'd have to have enough room to be able to come out and down to get the nut grabber out of there. Another thing, if you look at you see those edges right there, I think if they were rounded, that would be interesting, or the edges here around it. Because, like, for example, let's take a look at this box here. Just if you're trying to, say, push this down somewhere, it might hit an edge and get caught. But if it was rounded, it would just slide probably just right off, just like that. Same thing going from left to right with these guys here. So not a necessary thing, but it could be a modification you might want to do. All right, guys, that's been the Jersey Discount Tool Company nut grabber. Only $23. I definitely say this is a good buy if you are a mechanic, DIYer, or any tradesman should consider this.